Hello once again folks, fáilte roimh ríist. Been quite a while since I made a video. In fact, I haven't spent much time out here in my little man cave, if you like, my behind. Anyway, today I'm going to tie for you a streamer. Now, I've been experimenting quite a lot in the last couple of seasons with streamers, and today I'm going to tie you the one that has been the most consistently successful. So, when I tell you about that, I'm just going to get the fire going here because this place needs warming up. It's freezing cold today, wet, cold, wintry day. Not nice weather to be out, so it's a good day for tying flies. Now, get her going here. A few people have actually asked me about this little stove here, curiously enough, and this is a tiny little stove, but man does it provide some heat. It requires very little in the way of fuel to provide huge heat. So anyone that has a little man cave or considering building a man cave for themselves, a man cave I suppose is a good description. Well, it's a popular description these days. And this is where I store all my fly fishing gear and all my fly tying stuff, where I do all my fly tying, and I have a lot of camera gear out here as well, so it helps to keep the place dry as well as everything else. Now, okay, that'll get it going. And now to the tying of this fly. It requires quite a bit of time to tie this fly. This fly is pretty demanding on time. Now I can tie one, generally speaking, in about 15 minutes, but to demonstrate it to you, it's going to take a bit more. It's an articulated fly, so it comes in two halves that are joined together essentially. All that shall become clear as I go along. So while this is warming up, I'll get the gear together and show you what's required to tie this fly. Now, some of the materials required for tying this fly. Now, normally I have my vise over here and I have the aid of my magnifier. Now, I don't have the magnifier here, so I'm so used to tying with the magnifier that I find it difficult now to actually tie without it. But in the case of this fly, it shouldn't be too much trouble because it's quite big. Now, what I'll say to you about this fly before I start tying it at all is that, generally speaking, when you're streamer fishing, you're going after the bigger fish in your given whatever water you fish in. Generally the bigger predators. So I would urge you to use the best quality hooks that you have available to tie this. You don't want a hook to fail on possibly the fish of a lifetime. So I'm using two different hooks here. As I said, the fly is articulated, so it comes in two halves, two hooks. So these hooks here, as you can see, I have quite a few of them. I think there's about 20,000 actually in this bag. And these are mustad hooks in size 2.0, so they're quite a big hook. You'll see them closer up shortly. And then I have the second hook is a partridge size 2. Okay, so use good quality hooks just in case anything goes wrong. Cheaper quality hooks will always let you down. You know, of course, you'll have to pay a premium for good quality hooks. They don't come cheap, but I think they're a good investment. Okay, some of the other material you're going to need, these, again, you'll see them when I do the close-up. These are dumbbell eyes of various sizes, colours and different weights. White deer hair. and white hackles. Now if you can get long white hackles like these, they're ideal. Schlappen, they're known as. You can often get them this long, but they're difficult to find. I've had a lot of difficulty finding them, and I've actually run out, and this is in fact the last Schlappen feather I have, so I'm going to be reduced to using this just white Indian cape basically, but it'll do the same thing. There shouldn't be a problem. Most important, tying this fly again, the thread that you use is going to have to be very strong, because you're going to have to haul on it quite a bit, particularly when you're tying in the wire, because you don't want the two halves of the fly to come apart, possibly when you're playing the fish of a lifetime. So this is Semper Fly, and it's white nano silk in 200 denier. 200D you will see on the side or the base of the spool. 200D, so it's extremely strong and very, very difficult to break. Very important. Little snips for cutting the wire, and the wire I'm going to use is this wire here. It's spelled EFFZETT, FZ, coated core 49. Now this is expensive wire. There is an alternative, and again it's not that easy to find. It's called Surflon, SURFLON, Surflon wire, which I have used and I've run out of, and it's about half the price of this stuff, so it's still very good. Okay, oh yes, sometimes I add legs of different colors to the fly. Is it necessary? Most likely not, but it makes the fly look good aesthetically, but whether it makes any real difference in terms of its attractiveness to fish, hard to tell. But I tie them in on most flies. Sometimes I forget and it doesn't seem to make any difference. The trout still take them. Okay, I think that, oh yes, the other thing here is mallard flank feathers, which I have in here. I'm lucky enough that I used to hunt ducks quite a bit, not so much anymore, but I have friends who still hunt and they collect up the flank feathers for me. Now you can buy them in a shop as well, but they're an important ingredient in this fly, as you'll see as we go along. So I've already, I think I've all got everything ready here. So I'm going to move the camera and zoom it in now and make a start. Okay, make a start. Okay, so tie the back half of the fly first. So this is the partridge hook. 1 second there, I'll get one out. Right, this is the partridge hook. Now this table isn't the steadiest in comparison to my desk, of course, but we'll manage. All right. Start off as I start off most flies. Just put down a bed of thread. I go right down. Now, I want to go right down as far as possible with the thread, because I want to tie in a tail. Now if you tie the tail in any further forward than there, what happens is it has a tendency to go around the hook. So you want to force the tail to be back as far as possible. Now I'm going to make the tail out of these hackles here, so I'm just going to pull out a couple like that. That's it, simple as that. And the tail is approximately the length of the body of, or the shank of the hook, should I say. Just like that. Then tie that down tight. And trim off the waist. Now, they're making a lot of noise, so we put them over here for the time being. Right. Now if you can, if you like, on the tail put in little bits of flash, little bits of sort of chenille kind of stuff, anything flashy on the tail, but again, I don't know if it really makes all that much difference, so I'm not going to bother. Now I'm going to use my last Schlappen feather here. Now I'm going to grab it by the front here and just peel everything back and tie that in there. Now we fold it back on itself. If you slightly dampen your finger and thumb, your index finger and thumb, it makes it slightly easier. Here we are. Let's take that out of the way. Now after every third turn, what I like to do is to put in a turn of thread into that space, and that will secure that part of the feather. Forward again. Now you see why a schlappen feather is so useful, because it has the length, of course. Every third or fourth turn, just put in a turn of thread to secure it. Forward again. 3, 4, another turn of thread. One, two, and we're going to tie that off there, and you can see how much of the hook is left exposed. Trim off the waist. Now, our mallard flank. So, mallard is excellent. You can also use teal feathers, or any kind of what I call speckled feathers like that. That's in fact a teal feather, I'm fairly sure, and that's a mallard feather. And so I'm going to marry them both together like that, and what I'm going to do is just place them over the back of the fly like that, tie it in. Now with a couple of turns you can just maneuver it so that it forms a kind of, I don't know what you would call it. Well, basically it just goes down over the back of the hook evenly, so that there's an even amount on both sides. And tie that in tight. And now my whip finisher. I'll just give 2 knots just for the sake of security. And now that's the back half of the fly complete. There we go. So now I'm going to proceed to the second half. Now my Mustad 2.0. Really strong hooks. Now the second half of the fly is going to take a bit more time because there's an awful lot more happening. So now I'm back roughly, I don't know, 1/4 of an inch back from the eye, okay? And I'm going to get out one of these eyes here. They're dumbbell eyes. Again, these are expensive because they're made of metal. All metal now is pricey, irrespective of what kind of metal it is. So be prepared to pay. I've tried to get them cheap everywhere, but no, can't be got. Now I'm just doing a figure of 8 to tie in the eyes. I go around it like that, and that'll tend to tighten them in as well. Now we'll move around the place like that until I'll show you how to stop it from rotating around in a while. Okay. Putting down a bed of thread. Now we're going to where are my beads? Just get some beads here. Forgot about these beads, tell you about those. We're going to be using those as well. Right, the wire. So to tie in the wire, so that we want to make it as secure as possible, that the wire doesn't slip out at any point, right? So I'm going to leave it overhang the eyes just fractionally. Tie it down. And now I'm going to go around the eye and underneath. Now you can give it a little pull. What we want to do is to tighten the eyes so that they don't rotate around the place, and this wire, when it's tied in the way I'm showing you, will hold those eyes in place. Now I have one side done. Okay, now I'm going to use beads here to separate the two halves of the fly. They come in different sizes, colours, weights, all that kind of thing. What I would say to you is just 1 second. I got new beads the other day. I bought them in a craft shop. They got all kinds of nice juicy colours, so I'm going to try, say, a couple of those bright yellow ones. You can buy a box of these. I don't know, I think I paid €3 or €4 for them. Okay, so 1, 2, and now the first half of the fly that I tied goes on here, and then I bring the wire back up through the two beads. A little bit fiddly, but yeah, there we are. Now, the little loop of wire that's formed here next to the beads, it needs to be approximately the size of one of the beads. You don't have to be that exact, but approximately the size of one of the beads, so that it has room to move around, okay? So that it'll be sort of a moving feature of the fly. The back half of the fly can sort of move independently of the front part. Now with the wire again, I'm going to tie down really tight. And when I get to right behind the eyes, I'm going to really tie in tight here, right here now, and bring the wire underneath again. Now, when I tie that in there, I should secure the eyes. Now you can, if you want, and I sometimes do, just add a little dab of super glue. My snips isn't great. Now I got it. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just add the tiniest little drop of super glue. If I can put my hands on it here. Second, here we are. It's been a while since I've used this now, so it could be seized. No, it's okay. So just a little drop of super glue, just around the eyes there, and that will double secure it. You don't want them rotating and wandering around the place because they'll ruin the shape of the fly on you. Okay. Now just on top of that super glue, a few more turns. Right. Now, so to create a shroud over the beads, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a couple of more hen hackles. Put off a bunch of them there. I'm just going to fold them around there like that. Yes. And loop. So to save on time there, what I've done is, essentially all I've done now is I have brought white hackle feathers onto this half of the fly exactly as I did it with the back half of the fly. Now, again, mallard flank, or if teal will do, as I've said already. Okay, so I've got two nice feathers here. In fact, I have three. 2 is usually enough, but we'll take 1 out. So there we are. And again, these form a shroud over the back of the fly. Tie it in there. So basically what I've done is almost exactly the same as the back half of the fly, with the exception of the eyes and the way I attached in the wire. Right, so now at this point you can, if you like, tie in some legs, rubber legs. They come like this. You can get them in a variety of colors and shapes and this, that and the other. So I'm going to tie in black ones that have just a little bit of sparkly stuff in them. Alright. Are they necessary? As I said earlier, probably not. Just measure them up like that and tie in. I suppose maybe they provide a bit of contrast, the two colours, the black and the white together. So maybe it'll make a difference, but I'm not sure. Next, deer hair. I suppose if there is any real skill in tying this fly, it's using the deer hair to get the right effect, to get the right shaped head. So I'm going to show you how I do it. So pulled out a lump of deer hair about that size, pinch it at the front, get rid of all the loose stuff, put it into the hair stacker. To level the ends. Again, I'm not sure if it's absolutely necessary, but it makes for a nicer looking fly. So now we're going to bring it about halfway back on the hook shank, maybe a little more than half. 2 turns, 1, 2, and then pull down. That will secure it. Now come in front and tie it down, okay? Now I'm going to turn the hook over and we're going to do the same thing on this side here. Now here we go again. Nice little clump, clean it. Stack it. And again about the same length along the hook shank. 1 loose turn, 2 loose turns, pull down. Now we can bring everything to the front here now. Alright. Now, next, I'm going to take a clump about twice the size of those other 2 clumps. Again, clean it. This clump goes right in front here. And what we're going to do is we're going to go once, twice loose, and then we're going to let go my left hand here and pull, and that will rotate it around the hook. And then we're going to whip finish it. Oh, missed. This can be a little difficult while trying to hold everything in place at the same time. 1, 2, 3 turns. Make sure that tightens in. And now another 3 turn whip finish for security. That's it. Now trim it off. Now the next part. These are razor blades. I buy them in hundreds from Chinese websites where you can get them relatively cheap. Needless to say, you need to be very careful when using razor blades because they are extremely sharp and very dangerous. So you need to be very careful. I hold them by this part here, Occasionally I've got a little nick from them, but no serious injuries. There is a tool you can get that you can actually bend these into, but I think you'd probably more likely to injure yourself putting it into those tools than you would if you handle it like this. So the shape I want is that, and I'm going to cut over like that to form the head shape. Right, now this can be more easily done if you take it out of the vise. And I'm going to cut it flat on the bottom, and then carefully work around until I get the desired shape. Now, when I first started doing this, I tended to overdo it. So less is more in the case of this. So just be careful as you go around. You want to expose the eyes so that the eyes can be seen. I think the eyes might be a trigger. Again, that's speculation on my part, so don't take it to the bank. And just come back here just to get that kind of rounded shape at the front. There, and now you can do little bits with the scissors. Now, like I say, just minimum of fuss. And that's it, folks. That's the streamer that caught most of my big fish last season. And I'm just going to do a small bit more. Again, be careful picking up the razor blade, just a small bit more here. There we are. One with and one without the rubber legs. Now, let me know in the comments whether you think the one with the legs will be more effective or the other one, or vice versa, or maybe it doesn't make any difference whatsoever. Right, folks, that's it. That's the streamer. I hope you enjoyed watching it. If you're a fly tyer, give it a go. If you're not a fly tyer, you probably found this extremely boring. But anyway, if you do tie this streamer, please let me know how you get along with it. If you catch any fish, or if you catch any very big fish, I'm particularly interested to know how you get along with it in your waters. So that's my first video for a while. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please click the like button. It helps the channel. And if you're not a subscriber to the channel, consider subscribing, because I do stuff like this all the time. And there's a link in the description to this video to my Patreon page, where any support will be very much appreciated. So, that's it for me today. I'll be talking to you again next time. In the meantime, Schlag a